Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Living the Core. This is the 19th edition of Living the Core. It's a series that we are running where we connect to people who are truly living their core in their life's works. Yeah, today we have Krishna Prakash and Yogacharya with us. We will connect more to Krishna ji and see what is it that he offers in the space of yoga and how he lives his core in the space of yoga. Before that, a little bit about the core itself. When I was connecting to the core and what it is today, what came in is we may resonate to several frequencies when we start looking back at our life and when we start seeing what are the areas that we resonate to. There are certain very clear essences or very clear character, emotions that we connect to. And when we actually dive into those, we see that that's where we come alive. But when I started really observing what it is that we really resonate to and what brings it alive is the deep faith, is what we truly believe in. So in other words, I can say that when we connect to who we are and when we truly have faith in it and when we connect to it with faith, that's when the core comes alive. Just like, otherwise it's just in the words, but when you kind of really connect with that faith is when it gets its life and it starts living inside us. So with that, I would love to introduce Krishna ji. um this is an amazing journey. You will see that when he is going to talk about it. But what I really would like to share is he's the founder of Srimat Yoga. It's a yoga center, and you will listen more about Srimat and what they offer in a while. He is a BSc graduate in mathematics, and then he chose to do his MBA in the Indian ethos model, and he's going to talk more about it as well. And then he worked as a faculty with XIME for a few years, and then from 2002 onwards, he moved into the yoga space and into offering yoga to various students internationally, nationally. And I think he must have touched around 43 people from 43 different countries have kind of come and taken your classes, right, Krishna ji?
Yes,
Beautiful.
true.
So, welcome to the show, Krishna ji, and we are loving to listen more about, you as a yogacharya, and we are also really looking forward to learn a lot about your core and how you live it in the yoga space. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
My very first question, when I was actually looking at your profile, was you did your BSc in maths, right? And then you moved into the yoga space. Of course, you said it was your life's calling, and definitely you were guided into that space. I would like to ask about how you were guided a little later, but just a curious question: what's the connection between math and yoga? What is it that you see?
I think maths is the queen of science. Yoga is the queen of life. So
Okay.
that way, it's basically the connect. The yoga is not just postures, the way it has been commoditized. Yoga is how to live in sync with ourselves and others. That's it. So the person need not even know that they are practicing yoga. Whoever is trying to be as simple as the way they are without any complexions and complications in their thinking will naturally be a normal person. So, a yogi is someone who is connected as much as possible and also accepts that in reality they also go through all the emotions. It is not that they are stone or a dead body or a realized master. Okay, it's all a journey. So as much as possible, if we are to the core, we are what we are. That's it. So that was the reason why
Beautiful.
yoga has to become a way of life. Whichever way they want to call it, that is up to each individual. That's the way it is, the connect what we feel with others and ourselves, because gradually the word others has to vanish. Others, what we see is just a manifestation of some unfinished job within us. So they are all a reminder to what we have to do to finish the job. So there is definitely, if we look it in that way, Even the words competition will fade because there is no competition. Who are you competing with? You are only renewing yourself every day, right? It's all about moving into the space where everyone can coexist. So that was the basic idea.
So it's beautiful oneness is what you're actually
Yes, yes.
bringing
We
in.
try to do that. We try to do that.
Superb. So you were sharing, you finished your BSc in math, and then very slowly you were got into your life's calling. And if you would, you want to share about how you got in touch to your guru and how things started unfolding, and you became a yogacharya.
In fact, when I had failed in one mark in my graduation. I didn't know why I failed because I always used to get at least first grade, if not 100%. Then I was asked to write a supplementary exam. I wrote a supplementary exam. Again, I was failed by a mark. Then I didn't know what was it. Then I kept quiet. You can only try in life. And right from childhood, my mother has always trained me to say, never ask the question, why me? Because anything is coming to you because you deserve it, plus or minus. So I kept quiet. I thought it is an opportunity for me to be a little more with my grandparents and parents at hometown, but somehow I cleared the exam. And then next year, 96, I see an article in the magazine which says a particular institution plans to open a management school in Delhi with a special emphasis on Indian ethos and how that can be put in practice. It was just a news article, and somehow I was not in a position to write that because those days it was considered better to have a couple of years of work experience before taking up an MBA, because MBA was considered to be a final stop. You don't need to keep studying, professional degree. So when we work for 2 years, we try to understand which areas which we can specialize. So that was the reason I gave one more year time. And then finally, this article came up in the magazine. So then I joined at the Sringeri Mutts College in Delhi, which was just at the first floor of the temple, which was in the ground floor. So then I realized that one mark, instead of asking why me, I thought anything is happening because there is something else more waiting. If we accept that, it would be mediocre, but we don't understand at that time. So we have to just go ahead because no one can answer the question, why me? Correct? There will be only silence,
Absolutely.
right? So that was the first thing which put me in touch with, yeah, we have to just get ahead with life because these things are not taught in school and colleges, correct? And then in
Absolutely.
97, when I entered the college, in a couple of months before itself, we were introduced to my teacher with whom I still study. And I am very proud to say that I'm more close to him and I have spent more years with him than my biological parents. And then in 98, January, February, March, every month he would just ask a question, what are you doing? Moment I say something to him, he will say, oh, you are still doing that. Now why not we do this? So without my own knowledge and beyond my logic, it took me a year to realize that I have been handheld without being handheld. Someone is guiding you in that way. And before I could understand, I realized that your work is only to become prepared. And the teacher has to identify you. Today, modern context, we try to identify the teachers, the gurus, and then we go and tell them, can you accept me as your disciple, right? Technically, in the tradition, it is reverse. You have to only become ready and the teacher would appear. So it became very practical when I met my teacher like that in 97 and his interactions started at 98. Then I realized that even when we were a child, we didn't know who was our teacher. The parents thought we were ready and they took us to a kindergarten and we met our teacher. But when we grow up, we somehow we think that we can find the teacher. As we can't even find a teacher who can teach us ABCD, but somehow that kind of thing occurs to us that we can find. So even that notion was broken. Correct. So that is
Absolutely.
and it's 23 years full, and I'm so happy. that the teacher found me.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a blessing. It's truly a
Yeah.
blessing when you find your master and your master finds you. It's mutual. It's both ways, isn't it? Yeah. So, one very curious thing that I had is you work with peoples of different nations, and what is it that if you were to say the other day you were sharing, this knowledge originated from our country, and you found more curiosity for it, and what do you say, jignasa for it more in the other countries, but things are changing, is what you said. Would you want to throw some light around it?
Yes, because I think across cultures and nations, before the advent of organized religions, people were always looking at the truth in their own way, right? And then maybe fortunately for us, the living traditions continued to exist despite so many incursions, invasions, and many things. Probably because many people in this country already were in touch with their core, which you are making the central theme of this entire journey, right? Probably we were a country where a majority of them were in touch with the core, and that core connection could never be disturbed by any external influence. And it so happened that the knowledge system is existing in a language which is originated in this country, correct? But knowledge,
Absolutely.
as per tradition, they say knowledge is not owned by anyone. So I frequently share this example with our course participants. We never went and taught a monkey how to hold its mother. We never taught the mother to hold how to hold the kitten, right? So we cannot take ownership that we invented knowledge, we started to read and write. The concept of knowledge existed the moment nature unfolded the way it is today. And we just documented it, that's it, using a particular language. So the entire cosmos was using the knowledge. Every being in the world was using, and maybe our ancients were aware enough to capture it for the future generations like us. So, any country, wherever it is, the questions like who am I, what I am doing, why I am doing this, where is life taking me, whoever were able to ask these questions, really looking into their own eyes. Obviously, when even they Google or when they go to a library, the reference would always point to just go for a trip to India. Whether it is founders of modern organizations, like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg or the Marco Polos and whoever it is, maybe people were drawn to this country because of a continuous stream of teachers and a living tradition, which has existed before even we start dating things.
Beautiful. So you started, your association with yoga in 2002. So that's at the beginning of the century almost, right? So from there to now, almost 2 decades, what is the major shift you're seeing in the way we look at yoga?
Yeah. Earlier, we used to see yoga as a means of physical health, as an alternate or a substitute to gymming. Many of them, alternate day they used to do. Then they thought it's physical fitness. And then many styles of yoga were prevalent. Then gradually, human mind always asks, what next? Basically, right? Even when you buy a book, you ask, what next I'm going to do? So this question, what next, when it comes to the collective conscious, maybe the providence answers with a series of unfolding content for those who are really asking such questions. Then slowly we could see pranayama being spoken about, then yoga nidra, meditation, and many things. And in a few years, people realized that all this has to be called as yoga, and yoga is a system. And we were just approaching one aspect, which is the posture. If practice of one aspect could give such good wholeness and well being to the mind and body, imagine if everyone could start practicing all the aspects. Correct? All of us have to learn how to breathe in and out properly. Because when we are emotional, it is the breath which shows whether we respond or react. So, if some processes could be practiced as a preemptive way, so when a situation comes, we are not looking what to do. We are already prepared in the process. Correct? So that way, yoga gives a complete system. This knowledge probably was not that widespread in 2002, And also thanks to the internet and thanks to people who asked the question, what next? So the tradition could start releasing one process after the other into the system. And more than anything else, in 1996 itself, I happened to read an article in Times of India, accent ascent, I think it is pronounced like that, where they publish the jobs. There
Okay.
one gentleman called ca Stephen had written an article that maybe it is time that each country tries to discover what is their own ethos and roots to manage things. We can't always manage things in a templated way how it was managed in the US or in the UK, right? So each country, each culture has its own way of evolving solutions to the problems we face. So I think all of this added to how we see yoga as a system today. And the final
Beautiful.
happened in 2014 when the United Nations announced that June 21 would be the World Yoga Day, International Yoga Day. And then, ironically for us, it is only after 2014 we started to get a lot of Indians. Before that, it was always the Westerner who would just backpack and come here to understand what it's all about. So that is how I feel that 2002 to till now it has happened.
Beautiful. And it's like really going back home, right? Going back to yoga. And you said
Yes.
something very beautiful, KB. And you said that every country has a culture of its own. In We were recently having a conversation, and what came in is that every country has a soul. And in fact, on this Independence Day, we were doing, along with Arul, who is the author of the book The Flame Within. So he was leading a meditation series where we connected to the soul or to the core of India. So what you said was so beautiful. Every country has a certain core. Uh, it could be in its form of its culture, or it could be in various forms. It would be definitely expressed, right, in its people. So to connect to the core of the country and to embrace it is what I think would collectively give us more benefits, and it would lead us towards that global oneness, towards that unity. And I guess that is the way forward for all of us. So thank you for bringing us. It's like we're connecting to our roots, we're connecting to the oneness in each of us. Thank you so much for that. And my next question to you was, you were talking of knowledge being available, right? It's already there. So when life unfolded, knowledge automatically unfolded, like it's like a manual which is already there with the system that is in. What is the role of a guru in connecting to that knowledge, because it's already there within?
Yeah. We have to ensure that people know that. When they don't know, they look for it outside. But the only role is that of maybe a margadarshi, one who shows the path, because the word guru is very loaded and it is used in different sense today. Traditionally, it is the one who shows us the truth, the ultimate truth, which is beyond all change. Only those people were called by others as gurus. Even they don't address or they don't see themselves like that, because for them there is no difference. Correct? So in the way, what is the role of tradition is to bring this knowledge to the grasp of each and every individual. You used the word also, no, jignasu, the one who is wanting to know what is it. Now I have achieved so much in life, what can I do next to know who I am? Without knowing who we are, we try doing so many things. Many times, if we know the direction, it becomes a vector quantity. That's what in maths we say, scalar and vector. The quantity is the same, but if the direction is opposite, all the efforts are gone. So what the role of a teacher or the tradition is to redirect that efforts in the right direction. That's it. The discovery has to be done by anybody who is walking the path. It's as good as you can give me a cup of water, right? If I'm thirsty, but I need to drink and quench my thirst. So the knowledge that if you are thirsty, you have to drink water is that which a teacher can give. And if we drink it wrong, we may get hiccups. So he may tell us the small pitfalls if you don't do the process properly. But ultimately, it is we who have to do it and get back to them and say, You asked me to do this, I did this, this is what I experienced or I realized. Then they would say, yes, do these adjustments or you are on the right way. So that is the way we see the role of a teacher. The teacher is not driving someone. The teacher is always for people who are self-driven. It is has to ultimately the one has to inspire from within. That is the role. And no teacher in the tradition has never made a fan following like what it is there today. The moment you do a fan following, we need to stay away because then we reduce the role of a teacher to a personality, wherein we are speaking about it as a principle so that there is no dilution possible. Because our tradition gives the story of Dattatreya, who could learn from 24 different things, right? From a dog to the tree to the prostitute to anybody. Because once we look out for learning, then only the learning will happen to us. So that is the second role of a teacher is that to make us aware to all the learning which is possible. Correct? Suppose if we are not looking out for learning, how will we get the learning? When you go for a shop, you should know I'm looking for a red color dress. Then you will see all the red color dress. But when you enter the shop saying I know everything, you will see the red also as a pink only. Correct? Maybe there's a new version of red. The shopkeeper will say this is crimson red. This is another red. But for that, we should be open to that learning to happen. So the role of a teacher is to help us better learners. Because the teacher can't be available with us in personality, flesh and blood 24/7. He's not a mobile app, right? He is that which ignites that learning principle within us. So these are the ways in the role of a teacher. It is a role. That's it. It's a role.
Beautiful and really nice the way you brought in that the inner flame is what has to be first ignited, or rather that is our efforts, to really connect to our jignasa, and then the teacher can, as you very rightly said, be the margadarshi
Yes.
for, yeah, to connect with it and to bring that light out, so that it can shine. So beautiful. Thank you, KPG. And my next question to you is on the mantra part of it. Yeah. Because I know that you do teach mantras in your, sessions. And what's the role of mantras in one's development?
See, the very word itself reveals. Samskrita is a very beautiful language because the word Samskrita itself is perfectly done. That is the meaning. Very few languages in the world, you can say a meaning is there for that language. So if you say English, there is no exactly what is the meaning for English or German. It is that which is spoken by English, that which is spoken by people of Germany or who have interest in the language called German. But Samskrita means Samyak Kritaha. That means that which is perfectly done. It's a very precise language. So the word mantra actually means that which when done protects you, because there the word thra indicates a sort of protection. So this language itself is self revealing, because the more you start engaging yourself with the language without even a dictionary, you will start decoding those meanings. That is one. Second, when something we say is time tested, that means it should have been practiced for thousands of years. Because of the virtue of Samskrita being accent free, dialect free, or there is no, what you can say, slang in it. So the way you have to say Rama is the same thousands of years before. But in English, we have changed from thy to thou to now you and I, things like that. So such kind of a changes is probably not there in at least the last 5,000 years we know in the Sanskrita language. So when you use that language in the mantra, what happens is you know that you are going to get similar results to those who practiced thousands of years before. So this is why at Srimad we encourage people to use the language called Sanskrita for mantra practice. And we have to understand that we are studying, say, Osimum Sanctum in our botany book. It is a word, technical word given to Holy Basil. And right now we are conversing in English. That doesn't make you and me belonging to a particular religion. So that mindset, that language is a mode of communication. It has nothing to do with religion. That has to be established first. Second, we need to establish, if you do a process, Is it time tested? Like when you say ISO 9000, it is tested. That process, if you follow this, it will happen. So for that to happen, there must be a standardization. So the standardization is naturally present in Samskrita language. So that is the first part. Second, the word manaha means mind. So constantly we know sometimes what to do, which is right, but something is not allowing us to do. Correct? Because lot of ifs, buts, logic, reason come in our way. Most important thing which comes on our way for self transformation is our past knowledge, which comes and asks questions. So with the past knowledge, how can you understand the change which has to happen now? Correct? So what mantra does is it gradually takes us to a state of silence wherein you discover like what Archimedes discovered. In the bathtub, he could discover what he has to discover, like how the benzene ring was found in a dream by the scientist. Because Archimedes and the chemist, they were not normal people. Intellectually, they were very, very strong people. But still, with the present knowledge, if you think, you may not get the answers which are new. For to get an answer new, you need to be renewed and refreshed and clean, right? As a clean slate. So mantra helps in that area. Because today all of us are walking, ticking bombs. So much stress we take in. Without understanding, without stress, there is no growth. Because everywhere we are bombarded with statement telling, become stress free. So this is another misnomer. Without stress, how can you expect a pupa to become a butterfly? Correct? So without stress in the violin string, how there will be music? So stress in the right optimum level is necessary for all of us to grow. Correct? So what mantra does is helps us to understand that this is the reality. Yes, I am facing with an issue, but for some moment let me relax by replacing my thoughts with these powerful sounds which have been practiced for ages with lot of telling effects. So what happens? It creates a sense of silence and a space inside the mind. So going back to the start of our session, the knowledge which is already present as a solution to our problems, the probability of it dawning after a meditation or during a meditation is more. Correct? So this is the reason why we introduce the concept of mantras to whoever comes in touch with Srimad.
Beautiful. And is there that a mantra has to be ucharne is what we say, right? It has to be pronounced. I don't know if pronunciation is the
Correct.
right word. Yeah, it has to be allowed, or can you quietly do a mantra as well?
Yeah, mantra can be practiced in such discussions. I can reveal there are four ways to practice the mantra, but there are multiple ways mentioned in the living traditions. The first method is to practice it loud, because when you practice loud in the presence of someone who taught you, they may correct the pronunciation error. Because mantra, remember, is like your password. Like if your computer or a mobile is having a vocal password, you need to say it exactly the same way. Then only it will unlock. So if you say this mantra when you do, this is the benefit, pronunciation becomes the key. That is why this is sound based meditation and it's a sound meditation. Okay. Then the loud chanting is for a different purpose, because when we work in a different way today, so many thoughts are there. When you come and sit immediately, when you close your eyes and try to meditate on the mantra, your mind will throw a lot of unfinished things. So to set the thing, like before a guest comes, what you do, you set your at least the living room, and then you are ready to invite the guest, right? Similarly, you do loud chanting as a method to clean the things around you, to set your mind and the things around you. Correct? Then the second form of internalizing the mantra is through a whisper. It's like whisper, it helps the person who is practicing to develop lot of withdrawal and concentration. It's like suppose if someone at your home immediately comes and whispers something into your ears, all of us in the live program would like to know what is that secret whispered into Leela's ears. So by nature, whisper creates curiosity. So when you are curious, you tend to be more focused. So here the whispering of mantra is not to anybody. It is to yourself, because you are the one who is with you always, not your spouse or friend. So and you are the one who is closer to you, because you don't know who is God, whether God is there or not. All we know is we are there. So who can get you closer to you? Only you can get. So whisper gives us that ability to be closer to ourselves. And third, that mantra is taken to the level of meditation. And meditation is a very advanced word. So there is a stage before meditation where it is called japa. Japa is a conscious repetition of the sound given by the teacher or tradition. And this japa becomes meditation. It's not today, everything is mixed up, jumbled up. So it is like, when do you do that? Now, when you walk into the street, wherever you are in Bangalore or whichever part, when you look up to read a billboard, you don't need to say A, B, like that. When you look at the word, you know what is that word, the first to last word, however big that word is. You take a second to know it. You're not reading it. So when the mantra becomes so internalized inside you, then you become ready for the meditation side of the mantra. And the fourth aspect is writing the mantra, which is a very powerful technique popularized by Swami Shivananda of Divine Life Society. So at Srimat, depending on people's need, we try to share it at their own need level. Correct? Their need is more important than what we know. Sometimes they end up giving more insights. So it's a journey together, no? So the mantra and meditation aspect is always revealing. So we just place forth before them these options and then recommend them, this is the way you need to practice in the tradition. But depending on their individual needs, suppose someone is highly stressed out, they would always do in the loud chanting method so that the thoughts in the mind can be subsided.
Subsided.
The one who is reasonably feeling comfortable or fresh, only such people we say pick up the mantra and do the meditation on the mantra. Else, what happens if you are not prepared? When you get up from the meditation, you are more agitated than before. Then
Mhm.
you think meditation is not for me. So that is why any mantra we tell people these are the four ways to work. Depending on the need, we help them to practice that stage, but we ensure everyone gets a taste of all the four stages. So this
Beautiful.
is, yeah.
Thank you so much. My next question to you is on Yoga Nidra. And since I was just seeing that in terms of manifestation, okay, that is where you say Yoga Nidra is something that helps you manifest. And I have practiced Yoga Nidra, and yeah, you can connect to the manifestation aspect of it. But today, it's like, okay, I did Yoga Nidra, so things will get manifested. That is really not how it works, right? So really, to connect to the manifestation aspect of Yoga Nidra, because that's one, uh, I think in Yoga Nidra you actually connect to the divine, or to the universal energy, and then you place it. That's when I understand is when the manifestation happens. So what is it that you have to say about Yoga Nidra, and how can people actually do Yoga Nidra so that they kind of connect to that?
Yeah. See, the 1960s, this process was brought to us by Swami Satyananda of Bihar School of Yoga because his successor was only 3 or 4 years old, Swami Niranjan. And this very concept of Yoga Nidra is being practiced at our home without knowing that is Yoga Nidra. For example, if someone is pregnant at home, they were asked to be treated in a particular way. And when you get into the home, you don't speak certain kind of words because the kids will be sponge, they would be absorbing all that, and they would think that is the reality. And in people who know Ayurveda also know a concept called Garbha Samskara. So for us, this concept is the way of life. But gradually, what happened is we so much connected with the Artha Kama, pursuit of things outside, and forgot our own Dharma. We thought only my goals are important, and we ignored the people at home and the children also who are looking up to us for certain things, like how we look up to people. So, what Yoga Nidra does is first it makes everyone responsible because they also are going to learn things, everything from outside. Then it will help them to relax. The reason is there is a particular area in the brain which relaxes when you practice it in a systematic way. So in the 1960s, Menninger Foundation figured out when people practice Yoga Nidra, they reach a alpha state in the brain. The alpha state is easily reached. Once it is calm, what we do slightly in a different way is we straight away don't put people through a half an hour or a 45-minute Yoga Nidra. Because generally we are not used to lying down quiet. We lie down to sleep, not to practice yoga nidra. We lie down for nidra, right? Sleep. So many of us are uncomfortable lying down and not do anything because constantly we are programmed. If you are awake, you have to keep doing, keep doing, keep doing. Without knowing, at some time you have to stop doing and be, then only you can realize the value of what you did. But constantly, when you keep running, you will not achieve anything, correct? So, what Yoga Nidra first does is it prepares us to the state of being and becoming a witness. That's the key work of Yoga Nidra. So, when we found out that today's stress and the needs, people were completely not ready to do all this. They need to be relaxed first before manifesting the desires. So we made level wise. So first we try to do it at the body level. It takes around 12 to 15 minutes. Then the second deeper level in the body. And the third we touched upon the mind. And all of us need health. Like you become very successful. What is the use of success if your health is not permitting you to enjoy that success? So in the level 3, we introduced a very strong concept of health. And right from the day one, when people join the self discovery program, we tell them unabashed way, write all your desires. The moment you suppress, you get into depression. So Yoga Nidra is a way to express what is your inner feeling in a channelized way. So in parallel, what we do, we take people through and how to understand work, how to understand emotion, how to filter these desires through the sieve of yoga with yama niyama and all that. So it is like your rainwater harvesting filter. It is not just okay. You just think of a desire, you write in an envelope, it's going to happen. So that it is not a magic in that sense. Magic happens when you are prepared to see that as a magic. Correct?
Right.
Slowly we need to
Right.
know
Yeah.
sunrise is a magic. Sunrise is a magic, right? A flower blooming is a magic. But we are looking at magics from nowhere. So that mindset has to change. So when we do Yoga Nidra, what happens? The concept of Dharma is drilled into everyone who is getting into our system. So there may be certain desires which may not be Dharma also. Correct? So what happens at that time? People use all this as desires, all these as filters. Like first they write the desire list, then they put that through how an action has to be done, how not to be done, how emotion will happen, how it can be harnessed. So all this knowledge and the knowledge of Dharma is given to them over a period of at least 2 weeks. Then they become ready to filter their desires through this big sieve. And then they arrive at a priority. They say that, yeah, this is a need. So we tell people moving towards need, at some point you will not even need Yoga Nidra. It will be met
True.
by nature. But because there is an uncertainty, this is a new thing which has not happened. We are using Yoga Nidra as a step for people to reach a place where if you are normal, working to your dharma, any manifestation will easily happen of your desire. You don't need to do, you need to be. For that gap, we have fixed in Yoga Nidra. So we have to build
Yes.
capacity for people to go from 10 minutes to 45 minutes. So this is the way we are offering Yoga Nidra to our people.
And you brought in your core of dharma so beautifully also in this.
Yes, okay.
So how have you been bringing your core of dharma? Of course, in Srimad, it is kind of very obvious the way you conduct your programs. But other than Srimad, in other aspects of life and in other aspects of your contribution, how are you bringing in dharma?
Like when the COVID happened, we decided that we need to consciously give. See, earlier what used to happen, the residential programs, when our people come from various countries, every day they would do their work with Mother Nature. We will take them to the village school, they participate with them, and then we'll have discussions like this to address all the five senses which we can tackle in day-to-day life. But when this COVID situation happened, more than the senses, people's mind was left butchered and battered. Uncertainty, fear, many things was there. And always we are looking out. So we said it has to be within, inside out. Immunity is not something which is available in the market shelf in the form of vitamin C capsules or an orange or a lemon. Even if you take it, if your mind and body is not ready, it is not guarantee, right? So we thought to help people to deal with their manodharma, we need to offer this program wide and free all over the globe. So more than 4,000 people have availed that opportunity. And never in that program we tell people to know more, please come. That is not the way we have to operate, right? Preferably we have to do it anonymous, but there is a platform everywhere you have to tell organization name, that name. And today Google, they figure out who you are. I would have preferred a situation where we just offer the program, nobody knows who we are. But today, we took it with a pinch of salt. So what we did is we offered this program free, and any corporate, any apartment owner association coming, we said first become fit yourself inside, and we encourage a lot of kids also to undergo this program. So this way we said we will contribute as a CSR. Always we go to a company to say corporate social responsibility, what are you contributing? This time we said you have contributed enough to the economy a lot, now it's time for you, we will come and give you. So that is the way we went and did the this program to them. Second way we contributed was that lot of professionals appeared very bold and strong outside. So many certification programs happened. People started to think once you do a certificate program, you become a leadership coach. See, if you have $500,000, you can also enroll for a certification course. A certificate doesn't make you a leader, right? So many people started to say, we did this course, but we are happy with the certificate, but that is not what is that we are looking at. So we came up with 9 1-minute series of small to-do articles wherein they could fill it up themselves and find out this is what they want to do or not. So these are the two ways during these times we try to practice the Dharma. And in organization level also, whichever wherever we were there, we never took, we never allowed any salary cuts for the staff, whoever is at Shrimat, whatever little team we had, because the team is there with us. When we go high, it doesn't mean we give them a lot of money, right? So we try to tell our own friends in the circle also, don't just give for the heck of giving that is satisfying your little ego. You should give in such a way that tomorrow any employee leaves you and goes to another organization, he or she should be able to find the right job. So you have to give to the level where people can manage, correct? So that becomes an organization level dharma. Because to retain, people are pampered a lot and they escalate their lifestyle. When a pandemic like this rarely occurs, they don't know what to do, how to service the EMI and many things, right? So in a little way, we are trying to work with a lot of corporates to share this knowledge. So weekly 6 hours
Beautiful.
has been allocated for this.
Superb. Really, very nice. Thank you so much for whatever you've been offering, because I think in the last since March of this year, the amount people are opening themselves up and to learnings, to widening themselves is enormous. Because the situation is also creating it. It's like there was this very dry soil which was drought filled, and pandemic brought in the drought even more worse. And then this knowledge is like the raindrops that are coming, and people are really really observing, and that is probably what the need was. So I think the more we actually offer in this time, it's really going to be very deeply absorbed, and that's going to be the foundation or the setting up of a new era. I'm just speaking, okay, but I really feel, because the shifts that have happened in a lot of people in the last 6 to 7 months have been phenomenal. So
Phenomenal.
thank you for bringing it up. I want to ask you about the 6 systems of Indian philosophy. You were sharing it as Shad Dasha,
Darshana. Yeah.
darshanas. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not very conversant with Sanskrit. So what is it like? Because you were saying it is a Nithya Karma Anushtana. Okay, so
Yeah.
how do you
That
want to put that
is,
as?
Nitya Karma Anushtana is said in a way so that if each of us have certain non-negotiables in life, whenever a negotiable thing like a job or a situation comes, we have a solid grounding to go back. So this Nitya Karma Anushtana is nothing. Yeah, Muslim will pray for 5 days 5 times in a day. That is his or her Nitya Karma Anushtana. That is what every day, what is that you are supposed to do as per your belief. That will be done whether you are a millionaire or whether you are a pauper. Someone avid goes to the participates in the mass. Wherever they are, whichever town they are, they know that Sunday they will be going to that particular church and doing it. And every day they will read something from the Bible or Quran. Similarly, every religious system in the world was created with a purpose to make people understand the ephemeral world is constantly going to change. The core will never change. The core, the truth will never change, right? Like you can do a lot of makeup and stand before a mirror. It will show you everything. Every day it will show you a change, but the mirror will not change, right? If the mirrors changes, what reflection we will see? So the idea of Nithya Karma Anushtana is to tell people, today you had a salary cut, it's okay. Tomorrow you get a promotion, so don't jump around. Today you got transferred, all these things are going to change. Like your nails are growing, hair is growing gray. You cannot stop all that. But the truth is always there. So when you do this daily non-negotiable in the life, whichever situation comes, you are ready to balance it. If you keep everything in life as dynamic, okay, today I will get up at 6, tomorrow is Sunday, I will get up at 8, or I will think of getting up at 10 o'clock. That is the kind of, we have taken life for granted. Like, imagine one day if sun says, let me come at 8 o'clock, yeah, it is Sunday. What will happen? So,
True.
Nitya Karma Anushtana are things when nature is following a particular rhythm and cycle. What is that we can do to be in sync with nature? That is why all traditions have this kind of prayers and meditations for that. So, that is one thing which we tell people who come to Srimad, please find your root and culture and just follow what is permanent in that. Temporary things will change, relationships will change, job will change, company turnover will change, but getting up and sitting at 6 o'clock and doing your meditation, there is no change. Things like that. Then when you come to the Shad Darshanas, it is a kind of an evolutionary model in which Indians have studied the system of philosophy. So we call it Darshana and we just don't call it philosophy. Philosophy is what? Be happy. Okay. When somebody grows in career, cheer for them, don't feel jealous. All of us know this, but there is no way how is mentioned there. What to do is mentioned. So when you just say what, it becomes a philosophy. When you say what and how, it is darshana. Darshana means what? To see. To see the truth for yourself. That is the strength of the living Indian traditions. They will just not say mantra means like this, asana means like this. No. If you do this, this could be the benefit accrued if you have done it in the right way. See it for yourself. So all our texts in India are written in such a way that the truth would be placed before the learner or the seeker, and the seeker would discover the truth for themselves. This is what happened in Bhagavad Gita, right? Over 700 couplets Sri Krishna mentioned, and finally he said, Arjuna, now that you know what it is, take your own decision. So that is the strength of our Indian tradition. We don't foist a decision, we enable people to take right decision. Okay. So coming back to the Shat Darshanas, first thing is logic. Anybody needs logic, right? And all these Shat Darshanas were seen by a great seer, and they have written a text, a sutra text for it. Because those days things were not written prolifically like today. They have to commit it to the memory. So when you commit it to the memory, you need to be cryptic and crisp and clear to the point. So all these six darshanas are accompanied by a sutra literature written by the one who saw that as a darshana. Okay, that is the strength and depth of the tradition. The first one is Nyaya, which speaks about logic, the day to day logic and all that. And that was propounded by Gautama. That's a great saint. Then comes the atomic theory and the theory of illusion and delusion. Suppose you see there is water when you are driving, but you blink your eyes and see again it's a mirage, right? But it appears to be water. So when you extrapolate, you may want to call it the concept of Maya, that which appears to be there, but it is not there. It's like when you take an ice cream, you feel you are going to be happy eternally, right? But very few moments, ice cream is gone. But the moment you got the ice cream, you feel that everything is achieved in life. So that small kind of stuff, you can call it delusion or illusion, things like that. And atomic theory was dealt in Vaisheshika. So some of us call that one as Kannada who did it, but we also call that as Kannada Kashyapa. He is the one who structured this study and made sutras for that. After that, you have the third system, which is called Sankhya. Today, popularly, we saw as yin and yang, Purusha and Prakriti and all that stuff. How nature evolved to the way what we see today. All the medicinal systems in the world, Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, all the medicinal systems where there needs to be someone and someone needs to be observed. Correct? Everything has a root in Sankhya. So the Ayurveda system in India derives a lot from Sankhya. Then the fourth system is yoga, wherein a special concept called Ishvara, as being, is introduced by the great Patanjali. So this Sankhya literature, I mean, that concept was propounded by Kapila. So that is called Sankhya Sutras. Then you have Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which many in the world know, 196 aphorisms spread across 4 chapters. Then the fifth system comes in, it's called the Purva Mimamsa. That means the entire system called Veda has the rituals and the karma, what to do, everything, no, the to do things, entire how to approach, how to do it. So the great one called Jaimini, he has written the Sutra literature for that. Then we get into the Vedanta, which is the ultimate, wherein there is no doing, but it's a being. You and I cannot create the truth. Correct? It's like a retired pensioner's life, you know. You have done everything. Ultimately, to for what? Just sit back and relax the fruits of your labor. Correct? So it is approximately Vedanta says you can't discover the truth by doing, which is already there. You need to discover. For discovering, you have to look within. So that is where originally the thought of a guru comes there. Because the one who has already seen it and realized an experience tells the words that, boss, this is the way you have to proceed. Everything will change. But turn in, that you will discover that which is not changing, and you can see that everywhere. So that is the Vedanta, which is the Badarayana, the Brahma Sutras it is called. So our Indian tradition is rich with this literature. So you cannot just say something and walk away. You need to give a how for it. That is why our system is far different from just a philosophy. So we call it
Beautiful.
darshana.
Beautiful. Shed darshanas.
Mm.
Thank you so much. I mean, I really wish we had more education in our education system. I'm talking of, which actually educated our children about the whole essence of the works that are there in our, ancient wisdom in our culture. Uh, my last question is on that. So, how do you think bringing this into our education system is definitely going to benefit? But how do you think we can do that with the current scenario that is there? Because it is not there to the extent it has to be there. If somebody would come to you and ask, how can we do that? What is it that you would say? What would your proposal be?
Proposal would be to educate the elders, not the students. Remember, students are always sponge. They absorb. And students or any good learner learns by seeing. That is, the tradition calls them as acharya. Why the word acharya? The one who by their own acharana says it is possible. So that is the word for teacher. So the elders and the seniors in the society had to be educated first. It's a reverse education. We need to go for a senior education program wherein they live the way our children understand, oh, this is how we have to live. If you teach a child, it will rebel. But when you show a child, he will or she will embrace that. Correct?
Beautiful.
Instead of telling, don't shout at people. If you behave that way, the child knows that's the way to behave. So the problem is not with our kids, it is with us, the so-called grown-ups. We need to be educated. So maybe like the Aadhaar card or social security number, government should think about this as a particular stuff and put a tick mark there. Yeah, you are reasonably okay with the culture and tradition of the country. Because you cannot go and the kid will ask you a question and you are gone because they think at the speed and the way they think is completely different, but they absorb and learn. That is why you see a child living in an apartment complex almost learning all the languages, but we will be working with colleagues of 5 different languages. We don't know anything other than English and our mother tongue because we are not ready to learn. So the child absorbs and learns. My request would be to don't institutionalize it, then they will study for marks and they will forget. Instead, you teach them this is the way of life. For that, we need to live. So that is the way I
Exactly.
think we have to take it ahead.
Hinduism is a way of life, is what we always say, is right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, KPG, for bringing in such beautiful insights. And yes, SKP is mentioning it's for we adults to senior education learning. So yeah, so when we take this on in our lives, and when we embrace our culture, our tradition, and the value systems and the learnings from our ancient wisdom, that's when I think we can pass the light on, and it's going to be a beautiful future. So thank you so much for watching us. Anything you have to say, KP, at the end?
No, I only have to
Thank
say thanks to you and everyone who has taken and invested time to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching, viewers. And if you really like this video, do share, so that the knowledge that KP has shared in this interview really reaches as many people as possible. So thank you so much. See you again next week with another beautiful interview. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.